Good evening, Des Moines, Iowa. This is Lefty, the Doc and Lefty, coming to you live from the Webcast One Live studios here in lovely downtown Des Moines. We're here every Tuesday from 6 to 7, giving you, the early week wrap of the week that just happened. And so I like to think of this show, not my show, our little show here, as kind of the cherry on the cake that is politics. I don't know that I would necessarily eat that cake, but
we are on the cutting edge of last week.
That's exactly right. And if there's anybody that defines the cutting edge of last week any better, it's Senator Brad Zaun. Now that's just a joke.
That's just a joke. We love having Brad here. And you know what? He loves us.
He does.
Hey, Frank. Play Brad's little clip we do.
This is our outro every single week.
This is how we close the show every week. You got it fired up, Frank? Oh, we're going to have to go on.
I guess. But anyway, then the reason I felt comfortable making that little joke is that I wanted to make sure that everybody kind of realized that the senator, first of all, being a good enough guy to take a break out of the very hectic last couple of weeks of the legislature. Yeah, right. Because it's not going to be the last couple of weeks. You guys are going long.
Yes.
But you are our first repeat guest. And so that means you're officially a friend of the show.
Officially a friend of the show.
And
I'm very honored.
Well, I'll take that with a grain of salt, but
why would you take that with a grain of salt? He's honored.
Well, okay, we're honored to have you. We always are, but that means that we get to treat you a little bit more like one of the family. And so that means a little bit more of the hopefully your take on some of the political stuff that's been going on. I made reference really quick in this first segment. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on at the State House since we've got you here. You guys, you're not going to be finished next week, are you?
No, this week actually.
Oh yeah, it's supposed to be this week. That's right.
Right.
Yep.
I'm going to guess. Basically, about every bill is a budget bill, and tax and education is in conference committee. I'm going to guess that if negotiations go very, very good, which I don't anticipate they will. We could be done by this weekend, but most likely everybody's talking about we'll be back for one more week, which would be good.
Just one more week. Yeah. See, I remember last year, I think you guys went into the first week of June, if I'm not mistaken.
Actually, it was 2 years ago. We went to June 30th.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. And so this year obviously is a lot better.
Yeah, I do believe we're a lot closer this year. Seems like it feels, of course, the weather is beautiful outside, but it sure feels like it's about time for us to adjourn based on what we've accomplished so far this year in regards to the budget bills. Still a lot of negotiations, but in the end, we'll all come together and hopefully get something put together. We get something good put together.
Now, there were a couple of things that I've been, I listened to Legislative Monday on IPR every single Monday.
Okay.
And they talk about certain different things like the gas tax and education reform and all kind of like the big ticket bills that are being negotiated in conference. I think Medicaid expansion is in conference right now.
It is not in conference.
It is not in conference.
Medicaid, I'm going to make a prediction that we're not going to deal with Medicaid in the Healthy Iowa Plan. That'll be put aside, and we'll probably get called back for a special session because we have to. Yep. Because if we don't, the Healthy Iowa Plan expires which used to be called the Iowa Cares Program, expires the end of this year.
That's right.
So what has to happen is the Healthy Iowa Plan that the governor is advocating for has to be approved by the Health and Human Services in Washington, D.C. So we don't know where that's at right now. But I do believe that we will tackle that issue, but it won't be something we do in the next week or two.
Could it have been maybe a more time dealt with in a more timely fashion had the governor kind of not taken so long to propose the Healthy Iowa Plan? Because he didn't roll it out until just a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes, yeah. I agree with you.
Okay. Because and this is what was funny because we talk about there's a lot of things that the legislature is close on, a lot of things that maybe they're not as close on. But it was funny to hear Senator Yoakum and I cannot remember the representative's name who were on Iowa Press on Friday and Sunday talking about how close together they were, and then they disagreed on every single point. It's like, no, well, we'll cover just as many and it'll be cheaper. No, it doesn't cost. It costs way more and you won't cover as many people. And I couldn't believe it. And so I thought to myself, they're not going to get anything done.
Well, we're not gonna before the end of the 2 weeks. I mean, the word on the street, the indications are is that we'll come back to a special session once the plan has been sent into D.C. and we'll see if it's up or down, and then we have to figure out what we're going to do with the Medicaid expansion,
sure,
or the Healthy Iowa Plan, or I think there's probably going to be a hybrid of both in the end.
Well, how would you resolve this impasse, Brad? Or excuse me, Senator Zaun? How would
call
you
me Brad.
Yeah.
We were colleagues when we ran for Congress, so and you're a good friend. So how are we going to resolve that? I'm going to let. First of all, the biggest concern with the Republicans is the money that's promised from Washington, D.C., and if that money will come in after year 3. It's been promised that it'll be there, at 90% after that. It'll be funded for 3 years at 100%. We've got a debt problem. We can talk all day about that. We've seen in the past where the money has been promised from the federal government and then it just kind of gets weaned down. That's the biggest concern that I have personally, and I know that the governor feels the same way. There's some problems with the Healthy Iowa plan as well. Mm-hmm. Transportation is one of them. We certainly, right now with the Iowa Cares program, you could go to 2 hospitals in the state of Iowa. Mm-hmm. His plan does open it up to other hospitals, but there's some transportation issues. There's quite a few issues, but I'm going to give the governor the benefit of the doubt. And I think it's best as a legislator, sit back until you have all the facts to make your decision. And so that's kind of what I'm waiting to do.
So are you you're kind of giving both sides, the Senate bill and the governor's, because the House legislation kind of seems to me to be in lockstep pretty much with the Healthy Iowa plan. I don't think there's not a lot of daylight between the two.
That is correct.
I know that the Senate Democrats basically they just want to take the money.
Right.
And one point that I hear President Yoakum always talk about is how, well, yes, we agree that sometimes funding has been sketchy in the past, but that Medicaid has always been funded for the 50 years of its existence. Is that kind of a fair characterization?
I would say that is somewhat fair. Mm-hmm. I know that there's, aspects of that program that have not been funded. It really comes down to is it puts another 153,000 Iowans on our Medicaid rolls. Mm-hmm. If the federal government would ever pull out their funding, and I say someday in this country this is going to happen if they don't get their act together in D.C., and I blame that both Republicans and Democrats. Mm-hmm. As you can see what's going on in Europe right now, when you take away benefits from people, that's where all the rioting and everything happens. We just have to think about this and make sure we're doing the right thing in a responsible way for all Iowans that are involved in. And, the Healthy Iowa plan throws on a little over 100,000. Mm-hmm. We definitely want to make sure that the Iowa Cares program or the Healthy Iowa program gets extended if we don't do that, because then you've got over 100,000 people that are going to be out of luck. And so I just truly believe there's problems with both plans, but let's sit back and take a deep breath. We do not have to make this decision by our fiscal year, which ends June 30th. So let's just see what happens.
All right. Now, this is Doc with Doc and Lefty, our special friend of the show. Senator Brad Zaun is with us tonight. We're very excited to have him here. We're going to be back right after break. We're going to start tackling traffic cams after this because that's a hot button issue here in Iowa and especially locally. We'll be back right after the break. We're going to do our special friend of the show outtake or what do we call that? The
outro.
Outro. So we'll be back right in a minute.
Guys, get over here. Love both of them.
Petrosian Associates, how can I help you?
Petrosian and Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Petrosh, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. We've got a friend of the show, Senator Brad Zaun from the Urbandale locale. So not only are we a local politics day today, we've also got a local politician. Was it last week or the week? Yeah, it was last week. We had Dennis Guth from from the 4th Senate District, way up in the northern hinterlands. Yep. They just got rid of their snow up there. My folks live in Minneapolis, and they emailed me about the weather that we were having those last couple of days and how upset they were that they just got rid of their snow. But we're in God's country. They can take a seat, I suppose.
It's going to change quickly.
It's true. Yeah. That is true. So one of you're sort of at least in the last couple of months and this past couple of years, I know for you've been on it for a lot longer. You're kind of becoming the traffic cam senator. Not that's your only issue. Obviously, we talked about Medicaid, and you have a lot to say about a lot of other stuff. But that's the one that I think that you've gotten the highest profile on recently, because you're bucking the trend from a lot of the more conservative, well, not even more conservative, but some of the conservative members of the party that kind of say, hey, it's a public safety issue, we're going to defer. You don't see it that way. And you had a floor debate. Was it today? Just
last
today?
Night.
It was last night. Floor debate on the Senate, and I think we've got it queued up. Let's see if we've got that one ready to go.
Do we have a go? All right. Well, let's do just a couple of minutes of Brad's debate here, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit about it.
I can't hear it. Thank you, Madam President.
Yeah, it would be in your headphones, I think, right?
Well, we've saved the best amendment for last.
You have headphones? I can't hear you.
And I will tell you that this is a nonpartisan issue. I've talked to my colleagues on both sides of the aisle in regards to this important issue. Let me first state that the traffic laws that are in place in the state of Iowa need to be obeyed.
I don't think that. Oh.
But there's been so many abuses by cities and counties in the state of Iowa in regards to these traffic enforcement cameras. I just posted on my Facebook 1 hour ago that I was going to run this amendment, and as the last I checked, there was 72 likes and 32 comments. 95% of them are in favor in regards to the comments. The Des Moines Register had a poll earlier this year, and Iowans, the majority of Iowans, want something done on these traffic enforcement cameras. Cities all over the United States are removing these cameras. Just to name a few would be Los Angeles, Scottsdale, and Dallas. I've seen a lot of data, and I've studied this issue for many years, and some of the colleagues that I've served with before in this chamber know that this is an issue that I'm very passionate about. I have seen data. We've explored the data, studied it, and I can tell you that if you could recall, many years ago, Senator Ward and I tried to do something about this when I believe there was only 2 cities in the state of Iowa that had these traffic enforcement cameras. Well, why would I want to ban these traffic enforcement cameras, and why do I think it's a good idea? As I mentioned, I've looked over a lot of data, and just locally here, some data that I was provided about a year ago, where there's the red light traffic enforcement cameras in Clive, there was a 21% increase in accidents after the camera was installed. And the reason why is people go into these intersections and they hit their brakes. So they don't want that violation. I recognize that there has been some benefits in Cedar Rapids on Interstate 380. In I-235, I've seen the data as well, which is the freeway here in Des Moines. I truly believe that these numbers are not correct, and they're skewed in regards to what actually is going on the freeway. They provide data that shows that accidents have went down in I-235.
Okay. We're not going to pimp you.
No.
When they're not taking into consideration the construction that we all as senators, when we served down here,
I'm kind of against
was going on, which they measured, as well as a couple years of very little snowfall, which impacts these numbers.
All right, that was Senator Zaun speaking last night on the floor of the Senate about his amendment to ban traffic enforcement cameras. Now, is there a lot of support for it in the chamber?
Last night I lost.
You okay.
I did lose. It went along party lines. Every Democrat, I don't mean this in a partisan way, voted against it. I know I had 4 votes on the other side, and I was told that that they were going to stick together based on Senator Groundstel's instructions. It is not a partisan issue.
It's not. That's surprising. That's surprising.
I actually think that it's more of a generational thing than it is a partisan thing. Older people tend to like these cameras, and younger people don't like them.
Well, I know that I was out in Clive at a friend's going away party on Thursday or Friday. It wasn't, this is in the early in the evening. This was before we'd even really gone anywhere or done anything. And I was driving over to where we were meeting, and I stopped at the red light. I think it was on right at the exit turning onto Hickman at the 35 exit, right? And I was turning east onto Hickman, and I had a red light. The green light goes, and I'm pretty sure I got flashed. I saw the camera flash. I'm pretty sure that was me. I guarantee that I obeyed the sign, but if I went too quickly, and that's the thing about these cameras, if you come to a full and complete stop, or even if you don't, sometimes you've stopped in a safe manner, but you roll up a little bit, they'll flash you even right before it turns to green. And so in a situation like that, say a police officer had been there, they would have been able to make the call whether to pull me over or not.
Right. And that's one of my biggest arguments. Here we are, we're coming off of winter. A lot of times you see the white line that's out there has been worn away, and you can't see that. And probably you got the reason why the thing flashed is you probably pulled out past that white line. We talked about a lot of problems that's been going on in regards to these traffic cams, but the two biggest things that I don't think people recognize is a great example of what's going on in Windsor Heights. 42% of the money, when you send that money in, $65, $75, whatever it is, goes to the city of Windsor Heights, and the other 68% goes to Gatso, an out-of-state company.
So
that's unbelievable.
It's 32% and 60.
42.
So it's 42 and 58%.
Yeah, excuse me. Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Well, because we have a question here on my phone from a listener. Basically, it's why don't we just chip our own cars? And I think maybe it might be a slam against me. I don't know. I'm sensitive about that chip subject.
I know you are.
But
is it a friend?
Yes.
We can shame him on the air. We
don't need to shame him. I don't think he was. But basically, why don't we just chip all of our cars and then just have a debit system where every time we violate the law, bam, we just run our credit card and send it in.
That's sort of what this is right now, though, a little bit.
It is, absolutely.
It is, really, if you listen to my comments on the floor, it goes against what our founding fathers and what we've lived by in our country, and that's that you're innocent until proven guilty.
It's due process. I mean, it's just a complete
The other thing
breakdown.
That's really disturbing is these cameras are not inspected by anyone.
Yep.
Okay, and if you listen to the arguments last night, Senator Chapman, who is from Dallas County, has got an ambulance service here in the metropolitan area. And his cars, he can tell you second by second what the speed is on those cars, if their lights are on, and they can tell you exactly what it is. He got a ticket from on I-235 and went in and appealed it and showed the data based on the GPS system that's on these things. And there was a 6 mile an hour difference based on what the cameras say they are. This is a private company coming in that is flashing these tickets. The other thing that's really disturbing that I talked about last night, and most people were shocked about this, is that Polk County, here in Polk County, they've agreed and contracted with Gatso, I believe it's Gatso, and what they did is they're now mounting these traffic enforcement cameras in all the squad cars. So when the squad cars are driving down the streets, they're not pulling you over for speeding. They're actually just shooting radars, and you're going to get those tickets in the mail. To me, yes, I certainly understand the argument about Big Brother. As I said in my opening comments, the traffic laws are there to obey. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I want everybody to obey the traffic laws. The example of what went on in Clive, there is increases in accidents where these red light cameras are put in. And so, there's all kinds of problems that I talked about. I encourage everyone to go to that video on YouTube. I got it on my Facebook page, and I go through you've got a community in Southwest Iowa of 1,500 people that is considering The city council is considering putting a red light camera on their town square. Now, my question would be, how many accidents are really around that town square with only 1,500 people?
Absolutely. We're going to be back right after break. We understand Brad's a very passionate man about this. We're going to be back. Thanks for tuning in. You're listening to Doc and Lefty on webcast1live.com. We'll be back after the break to talk more about the real purpose behind these traffic cams.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
Drink, dance, party. Kitty's is the ultimate dance club in Des Moines. A huge dance floor with room to move, 3 bars to keep your drinks full, and kickin' DJs playing all your favorite dance music. At Kitty's, we've always got your birthday party planned with Birthday Fridays. That's right, when your birthday rolls around, there's only one place to go. Gather up your friends and head to Kitty's, where you drink free on the Friday of your birthday week. Find out more about Birthday Fridays at kittiesusa.com. Kitty's, all kinds of people, all kinds of music, all kinds of fun.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Hey, welcome back. This is Lefty, Doc, and Lefty. We're here with Senator Brad Zaun. We were talking about the traffic cameras, and we're not going to sit on this because we're fortunate enough to have them, I think, for the whole hour, if that's correct. And so there's a lot of other things we want to talk about with them, but I just had one kind of final comment that I wanted you to see what you thought of, is that, you know, I'm an attorney here in town, and so a lot of the times I'll have people come into my office and ask me, you know, they'll have like a driving while suspended ticket or an OWI or any sort of driving charge that was based on a traffic stop. So the officer derived from their speed or from their reckless driving or whatever happened to be to stop them, do an investigation, and charge them with a more serious offense. But a lot of those, to do that, they have to have their speed radar guns or their PBT things that have a certain way to calibrate them, and those officers are required by law and by their own rules to get those things checked out, certified, calibrated twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall, on all that equipment that they use, because of how important it is to have probable cause and sufficient evidence to charge somebody with a crime. And what I hear from you, that's not being done on these cameras.
There is no inspections on these cameras. This is a private company that comes in. Actually, most of these companies, Gatso included, is a company that's based out of the United States. There is no inspections in regards to these cameras.
Based out of the United States? Where are they based?
I think it's Australia or something like that.
So we're not even sending this money to people that are employing Americans.
They have offices in the United States, and I'm not here to pick on those guys, but
I am.
But it is a foreign company. Gatso is a foreign company.
You riled up the jingoist and Doc over.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to tell you, these things are such a burden on our society. The real reason you have these is politicians, and no offense, Brad, politicians simply don't have the cojones to go, well, hold on, we're going to have to cut some things out of our city budget. Mm-hmm. They just want to keep spending. And so they look around and go, well, hold on, we can get more money here. We can get more money there. Instead of going like, how come we just don't cut some of our expenses, right? Mm-hmm. How come we don't, reduce some of the excessive pay that we give out? How come we don't reduce some of our contracts? So for me, the traffic cams, they can talk about safety and all the rest of that all they want, but it's really about money. Because as I know, traffic cams do not increase your safety. As Brad pointed out, it decreases your safety. People's behavior changes. And simply because you move the onus of majority of accidents from one intersection to another doesn't make it any safer. And especially now that Brad just said this is a foreign company that Clive is dealing with, I'm just astounded. Why even do that?
Well, what I would say, and just to kind of piggyback on that, I would be interested. I'm going to say this without political comment because I know what you guys both think about property taxes. I would be in. I heard some folks. I think the city council down in Carlisle, at least the mayor of Carlisle, or it's a manager maybe. I can't remember how Carlisle is organized. Down in Carlisle and some of the other smaller towns are a little bit. They're up in arms about the possibility of property tax reform because of the gigantic hit it would take to their budgets. I would be interested to know how much the smaller communities then would install these, and I think that's the smoking gun. Now, I didn't mean that to be a partisan statement. I would be interested to see if all these little towns that are really upset about the possibility of their property taxes being readjusted, then hey, now we're going to put these cameras in for safety, and I think that would prove your guys' point right away.
And I tested it last year. I had an amendment to put a cap at $50 on these violations. Currently, right now, they're anywhere from $75 to $300 in the state.
$300, that's unbelievable.
Okay, and $300 in Sioux City. Yep. And so I did put an amendment because they've always told me this is about public safety, public safety, public safety. I did file an amendment, and I did it purposely about 3 days beforehand just to get a reaction. And those cities scream like heck.
I bet they did.
Because they had to do that. But, listen, it is an issue that we need to deal with eventually. Mm-hmm. I know the Department of Transportation is very passionate about doing something about this. Yep. The only thing that they can control is the state highways and the interstates, and that's why they said no to Windsor Heights on Interstate 235.
Yeah, that's right. And so now Windsor Heights has that mobile one that just goes from place to place.
And the troopers are against it. I know the troopers don't like them. The state troopers don't like them. I know that city police officers don't like them very much.
I've heard from
they like to be involved, like the president of the Iowa Police Officer Association, whatever that organization is called. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but he did an interview where he said, I understand, and kind of the same way everybody is. We know why we have them. We know what we're trying to do, but gosh, I would rather have a trained police officer conducting these stops when they're necessary, and being able to make those judgment calls. Me rolling up past the line before a stop sign, I don't think that I deserve a $75 ticket.
And the other thing, there's 2 points I want to make now. One, our frequent listener from Cedar Rapids has just texted and said that it's impossible to get them overturned up there. And in fact, Chapman just had one overturned here. He posted it on Facebook today. And it is virtually impossible. And number 2, think of how many bad guys the cops catch at a traffic stop. Oh, we're pulling you over for this. We're pulling you over for that. And they find, 50 pounds of meth or 20 pounds of coke, whatever.
Those cameras aren't finding that.
They're not finding that.
Now, one thing I would just add is that if you're rich, who cares?
Yep.
Okay. You can get 100 of these things. The speed limit in I-235 around the 42nd Street is now 69 miles an hour. It's not 60. It's an artificial speed limit because they don't give you a ticket until it's 10 miles an hour over. If you're rich, you could pay them like crazy. It does not go on your insurance, does not go on your Department of Transportation record. If you're poor, it hurts those people. Yep. If you're a lower income person, you imagine someone going to a minimum wage job that gets his ticket because he's late or she's late, and they get a ticket for $75 to $300.
Or some poor Mason trying to go somewhere and having his truck.
I want to give you one more example, then I'll get off it.
We got to get off this here.
Sioux City, okay? Yeah. I heard from someone from Sioux City that flew into Omaha, went up to Sioux City to a funeral as a family member, and they borrowed a car for the funeral procession and went through an intersection in Sioux City where it was clearly controlled by the yellow flashing light funeral home car, and went in, and they got a ticket because they went through a red light. They went into the city of Sioux City and appealed that and lost. This is just out of control.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. We're going to be back. This is our big break. Please stay tuned. Please support our sponsors. Listen to them. They're the ones that keep our studio open. We'll be back right after the break. We have our friend of the show and special guest, Senator Brad Zaun. We're always glad to have him on. We'll be back in just a moment.
Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I'm administrative manager.
I am the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
If we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, it's got to be, it's your home.
It's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did is perfect. It's great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
Enough said.
Hey, welcome back. This is Lefty bringing you back to the show. We really do want to thank all of the sponsors of this program, the sponsors to Webcast One Live. Certainly appreciate Bertrosian Associates chipping in their time. It's a good-looking staff you have over there, Doc.
Oh yeah, and I actually have a couple of guys that come over just to flirt with my receptionist.
I bet you do.
So,
that's a mental illness in and of itself. I assume.
What, flirting with my receptionist?
Well,
heck no, she's nice.
Oh no, not that he would be crazy to.
Oh, all right,
but that he would be crazy not to do it every single day.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely true. Now I just want to take just a couple of seconds. I don't generally talk too much about private stuff, my private passions and stuff. But there is a passion I have. I'm medical director at Youth Homes of Mid-America. Brad's come out to take a tour of this. Senator Zaun has. This is, when the government is done trying to fix your kid and they finally give up, this is the place these kids go. And they do a terrific job. They need money. They need a lot of it. These kids are expensive. Can you imagine trying to feed 50 teenage boys? All right. Youth Homes of Mid-America. Can you see that? That's all right. At Famous Dave's, May 21st, all day long, from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Go eat there. 10% of everything they bring in goes to Youth Homes of Mid-America. And that's what I wanted to say. So let's go on to the property tax issue. Because, that's been kind of a hot button thing, at least for me, for at least since I've owned property. Mm-hmm. And I know that Chris Hagenow is heading up the House side of the property tax reform. Who's heading up on the Senate?
It's Joe Bokum.
So
I think that's right. Yeah, I think I've heard those two kind of hashing it out. The last I'd heard, because that's in conference at this point, I assume that they were close in principle, but nothing had been agreed to yet. Is that about right?
I'm not on the Ways and Means Committee, so I can't give you an updated status report on that. I'm hopeful that we get something done. If we do nothing, there'll be a $2 billion increase in taxes, property taxes, in the state of Iowa in the next 10 years. And the reason why is people don't realize there's what is called this rollback. And what the rollback does, and I was an old mayor, so I understand what that is. What the rollback does is it makes it adjustments every year based on what agriculture property valuations are. Of course, we know agriculture is doing well. Property values are going up. And what that does is it raises the rollback that the cities could charge you for residential. There really is no rollback on commercial. They pay 100%. Yep. But on your house, I don't know, it's 52, 53% this year. It will raise every year. What's frustrating to me is all the mayors and city councils that are out there, and I've had conversations with my mayor in regards to this, is that they don't even the tax rate out. They don't lower the tax rate proportionally to what the rollback does. And so if we do nothing, there's going to be a huge tax increase on all Iowans, including residential. My biggest concern is what you touched upon earlier, is that we could do property tax reform. We could roll back what's being done with what they're talking about on commercial. I do like the Republicans' plan better than the Democrats' plan, although I voted for the Democrats' plan because it was just a small step in the right direction. Is if we, the plan that the Republicans have is a little bit more aggressive, and it only talks about the commercial properties, which I'm concerned about. But following up, and I apologize, I lost my train of thought, is that what happens is we have the thing that we have to deal with is if we short the cities the money, we have to backfill that amount.
Yep.
If we don't backfill that amount, guess what the city's going to do? They're going to raise their property tax rates. So that is really the biggest bone of contention right now. We could say we'll backfill this year and we'll backfill next year. But what if Governor Branstad's not the governor? What if the legislature changes? And what if the economy goes down and we've got to make some tough decisions down? The first place that the legislature has done historically is they cut back the funding to the cities for the homestead tax credits and some of the other tax credits that they do. So that's the biggest bone of contention between the Republicans and the Democrats right now. And I side with the Democrats on that.
So essentially what it sounds like is that, again, to my point I made earlier, these cities are spending way too much and don't want to cut back. Counties are spending way too much and don't want to come back. States are spending way too much, a lot of states, and don't want to come back, cut back. And it's one of these things, at some point, you're going to dry up all your tax revenue base. Now, give Governor Branstad his due, because there are some things I disagree with him about. But this guy's gone out and brought in some big hitters. Facebook's a giant thing, whether you like it or not. That is a big thing coming in. He just got done with a trade mission to China, and that was successful.
He had to get out of town because he was going to get beat up over a lot of this stuff, and the fact that the gas tax probably isn't going to happen.
Well, let's hope not.
The property, he's getting mired down in all this stuff, and so it was a great time for him to get out of town. But I will say, no, Facebook really, really upset me when I saw that come in.
Well, you don't like business? He is a Democrat, Brad. We have to remember that.
But yeah,
he doesn't like employing people.
First of all, I would give all the credit to the mayor of Altoona, since they approached him, and Terry Branstad didn't have anything to do with it. So imputing Terry Branstad on, and I don't really like the governor very much either. I know him a little bit, so I'm not saying that just out of school. I've met him a few times and I've talked to him a few times, but. What I will say, and I know his son a little bit too, not to cast aspersions on anybody in the family, but I know the family a little bit. So when I say I don't like him, I'm kind of being a jerk.
Great.
But
so, yeah, you are kind of being a jerk. You're going to alienate our audience.
Anyway, so what I have to say about it is, first of all, Terry Branstad had nothing to do with that. Facebook approached the mayor of Altoona, and the mayor of Altoona took care of business. He brought him in. Second of all, you're going to give That's not true?
No, that's not true.
What do you mean that's not true?
The reason why Facebook is here is because the environment that was created for companies like Facebook, Google, to come here on tax incentives.
Meta analysis.
Well, I mean, I certainly will recognize. I know Skip Conkling very well, the mayor there, and I'm sure that they had a very active role in luring them there. The reason why they located is because they're right next to a substation. It's on an interstate, and there has been no tornadoes that have hit Altoona for 100, 200 years or whatever the record's been. Well, but with that said, I have the same concerns that you do.
$18 million for 32 jobs.
$600,000 per job created. I think that might be a bit excessive.
Thank you.
And so
that's my point. Thank you, Senator. Okay. That's the point I was trying to make.
I would say the same about what's going down in the fertilizer plant.
Yes.
But I want businesses here. I agree with Pat. I just think that we give way too much money away in individual taxes. And let me just back up for a second.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come right back. Brad's passionate about this. It's like every time I bring a guest on, I wind up being the most conservative. I don't get it. I'm just teasing. We'll be back right after the break. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in to we'll have more discussion about the government giving away your tax money to bring jobs into the state and whether that should be happening or not.
Troche and Associates will provide you with a friendly, caring, and confidential place to find help for mental health concerns. We are ready for your call. We are proud to work with military personnel and their families. Our doctor, Dr. J. Patrick Bertroche, provides a full range of psychiatric services for children, adolescents, and adults in a forthright and informative manner while maintaining a casual, comfortable, and relaxed atmosphere. Our licensed mental health therapists provide individual counseling to children, adolescents, and adults, including couples and marital counseling. Visit our website at bertrocheandassociates.com for more information or call 515-334-9484. Our offices are located at 5525 Meredith Drive in Des Moines, just east of Skate North off Merle Hay Road. Isn't it time to talk to someone? Take care of yourself and your family. Contact Bertroche and Associates.
Hey, welcome back. We're getting close to the middle part of the second half of the show, and we're here with Senator Zaun, and we're talking about just the complete and total waste of money that bringing. I'm going to back up off that statement because I don't want Doc to reach over and throttle me for saying that.
Well, because as soon as the camera goes to Brad, you're getting it.
Well, no, let me couch it this way. In the same sort of environment in the last couple of months that had Principal hold Polk County hostage. Now you have Facebook coming in and getting $18 million to create 32 jobs, 32 continuing jobs. Now I will admit to the both of you that, yeah, it's going to take a lot of guys to build that building, but those guys aren't working at Facebook after they get it done. I want to know and what happened down in the fertilizer company down in southeast Iowa, around Keokuk, I think is where they're located. I think it's a lot of money, and I think that the party that purports itself to be the one of fiscal responsibility, saying we can't be spending all this money. If I'll make a deal. If in 5 to 10 years, what the tax abatement is like for usually around 10 years for businesses of this kind of size, I don't know what the specifics are in this particular deal, we're seeing a really large benefit that $18 million gets paid back with a lot of interest, then I'll withdraw my objection. If the two of you guys are still friends with me in 10 years, then we can all go out and have a cocktail and a piece of birthday cake because I'll have admitted that I was wrong about this.
But as a liberal, you're all into revisionist history. In 10 years, if it turns out, you'll be, oh, no, that's what you guys said. We didn't say that. Yeah. I know better than that. Now, Brad, I don't like spending a lot of money to bring these corporations in. Obviously, you don't. Blake doesn't. But the truth of the matter is, it's going to cost a lot of money to build that facility. It's a facility that's going to stay. I mean, it's not like it's going to be there 10 years and then suddenly it just vaporizes. I mean, that's a facility that's going to be there for a long time. It may change hands several times. It's going to continue to generate revenue. But as you said, it's only going to be 32 continuous jobs. But the problem is, it's going to employ hundreds to get it built. Most of it's going to be union labor because I think that isn't that basically what Facebook believes in? You know, they believe in union labor and all that.
I couldn't tell you.
So outside, how would you fix this problem of corporations coming in holding communities and states hostages?
First of all, thank God for Principal Financial. Thank God for Facebook.
Yes,
thank God for all these companies that employ people. And I want to correct you, Lefty, on something. The incentive package that was put together for Facebook was created during the Culver administration. So with that said,
so it was the Democrats that brought him in. Long live Chet Culver.
But what I want to do is this: we need to change the Department of Economic Development Authority. I have a bill that I've proposed that takes all the funding that's there. And what it does, it's real simple. You don't have to get in front of the Department of Economic Development Authority to do a PowerPoint presentation, get on your hands and knees and beg for money. What we do is we shut down the board, and what it does is it opens the door for every business person to get some of this money. And how we do that is you pick the average. Mine's the wage average. We obviously don't want to do it for minimum wage jobs are out there. We want them good paying jobs with benefits. What my bill does is is that you create a new employee and you pay 150% of whatever the county average wage is, which in Polk County it's higher than some of the, like in southeastern Iowa. Whatever that county wage is, you pick the number, 150, 160, whatever percentage, is that you create the job, then we track that job through the withholding statement to A, see if the employee was created, and B, that they were paying the amount, that 150% of the average county wage. So what happens is when these big, large corporations come in here, like I said, they have attorneys and everything that they can do the PowerPoints, is it allows someone like you, Dr. Petroch, to hire another employee.
It's just Pat.
To hire another employee, and he would qualify for a tax credit that he could use based on his withholding statement.
Right.
It's easy to track. When these companies come into the state of Iowa, they come in and say, we're going to add 300 jobs. How do we know they're going to add 300 jobs? How do we know it's not going to be 200? How do we know it's going to be 175? This tracks it. And what it does is it opens it up to the small hardware stores, the mom and pops that are out there, and the large corporations like Facebook and Principal.
Yep.
So I think that's the way you solve the problem, and it levels the field.
And
so accountability is basically what you're talking about. Holding these companies accountable for how they spend our tax dollars.
And that makes a lot of sense, and I wish they were doing that now because, and I want to just say, just for a couple of things. First of all, Principal has been a really good corporate citizen in Des Moines. I don't want to take that away from anybody, but they riled me up a little bit over the last couple of months with some of the stuff they're trying to pull in, saying, hey, we're going to root up everybody that's been working here for 25 years and go move someplace else if you don't give us a little extra money. But I will say, first of all, I like that idea. Because I think you're right. It takes a lot of the guesswork out of it. But what I don't know the solution other than just kicking my heels about this, but this whole idea of tax credits for corporation. First of all, I'm a small business owner. I could use a tax credit and bring on some more people. Lord knows I need the help. All I can tell you, though, is what it does is it privatizes the gains and socializes the risks. Because what happens that at $18 million if Facebook decides, oh my God, we just got hit with a 200-year tornado, and now we've got to go and we're moving to North Dakota.
Yeah.
That $18 million, you just might as well set it on fire in your front yard.
Yeah, and that's just a risk. That's a risk you run. I mean, it's a Solyndra, except on a smaller scale. I mean, the risk of it,
That's true. That's true.
So how would you get around that?
Well, the good news, my proposal would take care of that. But the good news is
the actual,
you could even have a little special, higher up tax credit for the targeted industries that we're trying to get into the state of Iowa. The nice thing about the Facebook deal and the Google deal is their data centers. They don't move data centers. They are very expensive. I could tell you I was involved in the data center, the Microsoft data center in West Des Moines, because I used to be in real estate. And I can tell you that the power that is used in those data centers is equivalent to the power that is used in the whole city of Urbandale in Indianola for one day. I mean, that's how much power and water. And that's why the water usage is such a big deal. You have to have water. You have to have dependable power. We do have dependable power. We don't have blackouts or brownouts in the state of Iowa. That's why these companies are coming to Iowa. Also, the incentive package is provided.
And what I will say, and it sounds like I'm not changing my tune, listeners. I'm not changing my tune about this. I think $18 million is too much money. But what I do like from a lot of these tech companies is that they are more willing to buy into the wind power grid that we have here that has done really, really well over the last several years, that they're interested in backing up their renewable stuff, that they're using a lot of water, but they're not using so much that can't be replaced. We have a fairly, and Mayor Conklin was ecstatic about the water usage thing. But you made a point about, and fine, so the data centers don't move very much, but you made a point about maybe changing hands, being used for other stuff. Caffrey's Clive. That's all I'll say.
Caffrey's, that's completely different.
It's not. It's a building that's been sitting idle for the last several years.
But it's in a terrible, terrible location at a terrible angle that's difficult to get to.
It is.
That's a far cry from what's going on over there at Facebook.
I'm just saying.
I like that place.
Yeah, well, they did till they closed down. We're going to be back with our special guest and friend of the show, Senator Brad Zaun, right after the break. Please stay tuned and please patronize our sponsors. We'll be back right after the break.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
Hey, welcome back. This is Lefty with Doc. I almost forgot my nickname there, Doc.
That's Lefty over there. He's a skinnier one with a shorter beard. This is Doc over here.
Not much skinnier, but I'll tell you, it's only Tuesday. It's already been a long week. I can tell you that. Getting prepared for this show takes up most of my time.
Yes, absolutely.
As you can tell.
And by the way, we need to brag about ourselves a little bit.
Oh, go ahead.
We got news last week that we have gone from just under to 800 listeners a week, and we're now cruising at over 1,000 listeners a week, and it looks like our demographics are building. We're starting to spread out from middle-aged white guys to more diverse background, younger listeners, older listeners. So we're really clipping along. We also have a website that we're supposed to be going live here sometime this week. As soon as Lefty gets his bio done.
Yeah, I'm going to work on it tonight when I go back to the office.
All right, I'm going to ask Brad just one question right off the subject here. Now, I had a preamble for his biography that said, "From the frozen tundra of northern Iowa strides forth a god of reason." What do you think about that preamble? Should we have that as his?
I like part of it. The reason part, I'm kind of questioning right now.
The reason part?
No, I'm just giving you.
Well, he's got the shield of loonyism, the sword of loonyism and the shield of socialism. Yep. So I figured that would be.
Hey, I just want the rest of you to be poor. What can I say? I want everything run by
government robots.
Yeah, by robots who don't care that you guys have. I don't know. It doesn't matter. So education reform is the other gigantic thing in local politics, and it's probably the closest out of everything. Everyone's kind of predicting that there's going to be some kind of education reform done before the end of the session. Is that?
I would say that is a safe assumption. I don't know what it's going to be, but I assume that's. First of all, let's correct it. It shouldn't be called education reform because there's no education reform in this bill. Or both of the bills. Mm-hmm. I do believe that what's contained in this bill, there's one thing that's really missing. You'll see there's teacher. And we got the greatest teachers in the United States here. There's little for students. I do not believe that what's being proposed by either the House, the governor, or the Senate Democrats will do anything to improve student achievement. And so I'm disappointed with it. I can guarantee I'm going to vote against it. Mm-hmm. Just throwing more money at education. And like I said, you talk to teachers. Teachers are telling me, and I got an opportunity to be a guest lecturer at Drake University, talk to a diverse group of teachers that want to be curriculum directors and administrators. It's a master's program. Went in there as an antichrist because I was a Republican. At the end, I warmed up, and we started talking. And I said, if I had a magic wand, what would that one thing be to bring you, including raising your pay? 100% of those teachers said, let me get control of my classroom. We have got a broken curriculum that we're teaching our kids and broken teaching methods that we're teaching our kids. Right. And so until we start talking about that, there's going to be no improvements on student achievement.
Explain that a little bit. What do you mean specifically by broken curriculum, broken teaching methods?
Well, the core curriculum is really, I think, detrimental. It's been tested throughout in other states. When we actually adopted that, it was in Washington. Test scores have went down since we've started that. The curriculum or the teaching.
You're talking about the more focus on standardized testing. Is that?
Well, no, it's the curriculum that they're using. and it's the math curriculum.
Oh,
we're
sure.
using, that
Yep.
kind of stuff. The methods, I mean, we got to get back to phonics, and we got to go back to some of the traditional ways that we taught kids, and let the teachers, at least let the teachers be more creative in their classroom. They're mandated everything they do, and it's unfortunate that that's going on. These teachers are spending most of their time doing paperwork.
Yep.
If they didn't have to do, we cut back. So I understand there's got to be some paperwork that's done, but if we cut that back and let them be a little bit more creative in their classroom and their work for the next day, they'd be better off. And full disclosure, I am married to a former teacher. And these teachers we have in the state of Iowa, they are awesome, and they are underpaid. Yep. So I just think we're going down the wrong path to do education reform.
Do you think that there's too much emphasis on the allowable growth question? Because I know that's the real sticking point between everybody.
Right, and we, yes, to answer your question, throwing more money is not going to increase student performance. It hasn't done that. Performances went down. Of course, I'm controversial. I had a bill to say shut down the Department of Education, let parents pick what school they want, public or non-public, and give the local school boards 100% control. This top-down stuff doesn't work in education. It's best because the students in Des Moines at Hyatt over by East High School or at East High School are different than the students in Strawberry Point, Iowa. I think you need to make some adjustments there and let the school boards make those decisions.
I always get nervous when I hear people talk about getting rid of the sort of the state hand in education, because then we're back to where we were in the 19th century, where you could go do whatever you want, kick out whoever you wanted to kick out, not allow people to get the kinds of education that they had. Like, the best part about our system is that regardless of your background, your religious upbringing, your level of skill at reading, when you get there, you can get, and the level of income you have, you can get a world-class education in this country.
We've gone way too far the other way. Way too far the other way. You have kids that don't belong in a classroom still trying to get into a regular classroom. I deal with this probably, I think I dealt with this 12 different times today. You have children that are not going to be able to learn by using cookie cutter methods. And that's essentially where we've gone. The people from Washington, D.C. pontificate to us what we can do and what we can't do. The worst offender of that, in my humble opinion, is George Bush with No Child Left Behind. I think that is an awful piece of work, and I don't think it's helped anything. I understand what your point is you don't want to go back to the times when they're Latino, we're not going to teach them. They're black, we're not going to teach them. Our society is way past that. But what has happened is now everybody, regardless of their ability, is supposed to be force-fed the same stuff and expected to learn in the same way, and that simply is not going to happen.
Do you really see skin color anymore? I don't.
Well, no, I wasn't even talking about skin color. I was talking. You have these private schools where the tuition is enormous, and so people of means can go to a private school and they can get supposedly a better education for their kids, whereas the folks down the street that don't have as much money, they have to go to these crappy public schools. I wasn't talking about race necessarily. I was talking about this inherent sort of idea that, and I had this argument with a friend of mine a couple of weeks ago, where we have gotten to this point, and this is where I think that I really kind of disagree with you guys a lot. We've gotten to this point where there's been so much public school bashing from politicians on both sides, honestly, and from the media, that now all of a sudden everyone sort of assumes that public schools, you're going to get shot, stabbed, or raped. And first of all, that can happen anywhere, but also this idea that private education and that charter schools, which are doing good things, I don't want to throw everybody under the bus here, but that charter schools and private schools are the better alternative to this broken system. I mean, you said it yourself. It's not necessarily broken, but it could be. There's a lot that can be fixed with it.
But the key that you're talking about charter schools and non-public schools is their hands are not tied 100%. A charter school has flexibility to do what they think is based on the students are here. Right here, go take a tour of youth homes of Iowa, Mid-America, which is where I took the tour of. These are kids that don't fit the mold. That's what they do. But they don't use the same methods that are done in our schools. I think there needs to be a variety of schools out there. There's, back in the days when I was a slow, I was a little behind when it comes to students. I was pulled aside and I was taught how to do what I needed to do. And I'm saying that let's give these schools freedom to do what's best in their backyard, rather than what comes from Washington D.C. or Des Moines, Iowa.
Flexibility is best. Now we have to close out the show. We're right up against our time limit.
He usually gives me the last word. He's not going to do it.
No, I'm not. I can't do it today. We need to stay on task. Don't forget, Tuesday, May 21st, go out to the Merle Hay Road, Famous Dave's. Eat all the food you can. All that money is going to go benefit Youth Homes Mid-America. You're listening to Doc on Doc and Lefty. We're here every Tuesday from 6 to 7 p.m. on webcast1live.com. This is our first friend of the show, Senator Brad Zaun. We are glad to have you here. You're welcome to come back anytime. Thanks a lot for showing up.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Love these guys. Get over here. Get over here. Love both of them.